Let's start with all the news, transfer news surrounding Tottenham at the moment, and we'll start with the hot topic, which I'm guessing everyone is wanting to hear us talk about, and that is the latest goings on with Christian Eriksen. Obviously, we'll address what's been said on Twitter and social media yesterday. But first, we will go through everything that has been said today. First of all, it's from we go to Fabrizio Romano. He said Christian Eriksen will make a decision on his future on his future club soon. Man United have confirmed their interest to his agent, while Brentford are still in the race. Spurs are focused on the right back, centre back, and then a striker. I think it's Giuseppe Mero from the Evening Standard. He says Tottenham are yet to hold any formal talks over a move for Christian Eriksen. And Ali Gold's coming in as well with an update on Christian Eriksen. He says the words coming out of Tottenham now seems to be downplaying any potential comeback for the midfielder. He, having been keen to stay in London, that is no longer the case, as he has many offers on the table. Spurs were last in contact with Eriksen's camp 2 weeks ago, but have not followed that up since. And that's all obviously good, credible information from good journalists who have a reputation for a lot of the times getting things right. They don't get everything right, but obviously they've got a very good reputation. I respect their information, and they might well be right on the money in terms of the latest for Christian Eriksen. That might well be the case. What we have heard, and just to clarify, what in terms of when I say what we have heard, this is coming from someone who has been feeding us information throughout of last season. He said about Conte having COVID days before anyone reported it. He reported that Skip was out for the season and required surgery 2 weeks before anyone reported it. He reported that Romero was going to be a major doubt for the North London derby, and no one knew anything about that. Before it was obviously the lineups came out, no one knew anything about Romero being out for the North London derby. He reported to us, and we reported to the fans about that information. He reported about Kulusevski being ill for the Burnley game as well, 2 days before the game, which no one else was reporting on. So to us, anyway, he has some credibility in the bank when coming to reporting on Spurs news, especially injury news and goings on within the club. He clearly has a good track record, and he clearly has some sort of good information within the club. Now, I'll preface that by also saying we haven't used him yet for transfer news. We don't know how reliable, I guess, he is for transfer news. So whether we jumped the gun by believing what he said in relation to transfers, I guess remains to be seen. But this comes from someone who gave us that information reliably, was absolutely spot on with all that other information, got that absolutely 100% right. And he came to us yesterday and he said, I've spoken to you guys before about how I believe Eriksen is likely for a few weeks, but I am now hearing that Eriksen has accepted an offer from Spurs, verbal agreement from Tottenham, and it could well be in the final stages. That is what he was claiming yesterday, and so we reported on it. Look, we're very open. We reported on that news. I'm completely open with you guys. You can argue maybe we jumped the gun on that, but he was pretty confident on the information, and we reported on that. He could have jumped the gun or got things wrong, and we could have jumped the gun on reporting it. We don't know yet. Nothing has come out to definitively say that Eriksen isn't coming or anything like that. Then they might be behind the news, or he might be completely wrong. We don't know yet, 100% sure. I contacted him today for clarification about, have you seen all the reports coming out and everything like that. And he got back to us saying that as far as he knows, let me just get his messages up. He says, as far as he knows, nothing has changed. He says potentially if Man United are making a ridiculous wage offer, that's something that maybe could swing the deal into Man United's hands. That's the only thing. And he says right now that offer isn't on the table in terms of a crazy wage package. He said, but as of what he knows, that he says that he still says Eriksen is coming home. He has agreed a verbal agreement with Tottenham. Nothing has changed as of last night. And he says that's what he understands at the moment. There is a verbal agreement. Doesn't mean that can't change. But that's what he says. So look, we're Tottenham fans.
Yep.
We're obviously also very excited about these potential moves and things like that. And maybe it's completely plausible that either the information was wrong or that we may be, as excited Tottenham fans, jumped the gun in reporting that news. The news coming out this morning suggests that could be a possibility. But I trust in what he's told me before.
Yep.
So I had no reason to doubt the information being given us. But he might be wrong. We have to wait and see. But as Tottenham fans, we are always going to give you the information we're getting because we believe that we want to give the information if we believe it's accurate to the fan base, to Tottenham fans, so they know what's going on. If we get information, we're not going to keep it for ourselves. We want to give it to other people, but it might be wrong, and we'll have to wait and see what happens in the future. Look, and as we've also said that, Ali Gold's and Romano's updates are what they are, but there's no suggestion that he's agreed to join anyone else or anything like that. Nothing concrete has happened yet with the Eriksen deal. They're suggesting that their Spurs are shying away from the deal at the moment. That could well be a possibility, but we're just reporting what we're being told.
Yeah, listen, I mean, the first thing you got to say is, like you said, you have come out with this, and first of all, well done to you and Ben fronting this straight away and coming out and saying it as it is. You got it right on all those things that you said before. All those things that you mentioned before, the person have been completely right on. And then what's happened now is obviously, especially with the transfer activity being the way it is, if you look at the romantic side of it, you look at what we're lacking, it all makes sense. And there's obviously been some form of contact. When I was on with you last week, we were saying that at one point Man United may have offered or may be prepared to offer 350 grand. And we were saying, and as other sources have said, that hasn't happened, but they may come in with a silly amount of money. And that's the thing. It comes down to it. Does he want the money, or does he want to come back home and be the romantic side of it? Because we won't be matching 350. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing to say if he has agreed something in 2 weeks that if it's only a verbal agreement, and we know what verbal agreement and gentleman's agreement means within our club, you don't know if a team from Europe, I know he can't go to Italy because of his heart, but it doesn't stop a team from Spain, Germany, France, Pochettino coming. Oh, no, not Pochettino. He's not there anymore. My bad. But it doesn't stop a Paris Saint-Germain coming in with a stupid bid, which could be, oh, wait a minute. It took me a long time to say forgive and forget, and Eriksen now with Basuma in completes that midfield and gives us he brings the final thing that we're missing, which was creativity. And listen, it could still happen. It could still happen. It's not dead in the water. Alistair Gold has reported, and today obviously it's got a lot more clout that the deal looks further away than we were led to believe, and what your guy led to believe. Does not mean it's dead. Does not mean it's dead. It just means it's not happening as quickly or as smoothly or within the next week or so. It may take a while, but what I'm taking from it as well is they're focusing on other positions more. They're focusing on the striker. They're focusing on the left centre back, which we know is a primary target for us. So I don't think this deal is dead. I think it's just been kicked down the road a bit.
Well, we don't know that. In terms of the deals, like, no one really knew about Basuma until the day before, did they? So who knows what could spring up over the next few days in terms of this potential deal. There is nothing definitive about anything that's come out. All the reliable journalists, to be fair, they all seem to be contradicting each other in terms of Romano saying that Eriksen is picking between Man United and Brentford, and he said a couple of days ago that Spurs have made an offer, and Spurs have an offer on the table for Eriksen, and he's choosing between that as well. Ali Gold is saying that he has offers from Man United, Everton, Newcastle, Leicester, West Ham, and Brentford. But Ali Gold said there was concrete talks 2 weeks ago, and they've been called. The Evening Standard said there's never been any concrete talks at all. Yep. They reported that this morning. Charlie Eccleshare on Friday said that he wants to stay in London, and he's now choosing between Tottenham and Brentford, and Man United are out the race because he wants to stay in London. That was on Friday. Yep. So all these journalists are contradicting each other. There's a lot of contradictions. So for me, there is definitely no reliable firm news on this.
No, I mean,
just as of yet. So it might well be the case that behind closed doors does have a verbal agreement. We just don't know at the moment. That's what we've heard from our source. And we'll have to wait and see. This news of the news that's come out this morning does contradict it in terms of a verbal agreement. But there's so many contradictions, it's hard to keep up at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the other one I heard today is Chelsea are involved. That I can't remember where I heard it from, but it actually got mentioned that Chelsea involved. They want him and Sterling and want to get rid of Ziyech and who's the American
Pulisic.
Pulisic, sorry, yeah, Perisic is with us, for God's sake. So yes, so there's another rumour there, and if Chelsea are in the frame, then that's another one that can offer serious money. We shall have to see. I think this one is going to drag for a while. I still think it will get done. I just don't think it's going to be as early or as quickly wrapped up as we thought.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I just wanted to be fully open and transparent about the information we've been getting and we're putting it forward to you guys. And that's, we could not do it if you prefer. If we get information, we can just not share it. That's fair enough. But we thought that we would do it because we would want all Spurs fans to hear all the information that we've been getting. We don't want to keep it for ourselves. But we obviously might take some patience for all to come to fruition. I don't know. We don't know for sure, but that's just what we're hearing. In terms of the deal, from a Tottenham point of view, I'd absolutely love it. I think he would be a fantastic signing for Tottenham. I think he's exactly the kind of player we need. I also think that he actually, it goes under the radar that he's played that position before as well, because if you remember when, from a 3-4-3 position, the right attacking midfielder position, he's played that position before under Pochettino. If you remember, when we had that season, when we played three at the back with Alderweireld, Dyer and Vertonghen, we played a front three of Dele, Kane and Eriksen. And Eriksen was playing in that right kind of floating. If you remember those assists he got against Chelsea in the 2-0 win, those both came from that right-hand side half spaces where he was crossing him in. And I think he could play that role brilliantly. So for people saying, he can't play in a pivot, he would have to change our formation, I don't think we would. I think he could easily be competing with Kulusevski for that right-hand side spot, attacking midfield spot in a 3-4-3. And if we do go to a 3-5-2, he obviously plays in central midfield as well. So I think he offers us tactical flexibility, quality in the final third. He offers us goals and assists, precision passing. I would absolutely love him at Spurs. I believe there's a good chance of it happening, even despite what's been said. And I really want it to happen. I think it'll be a brilliant story as well. So I think we could offer him Champions League football at a club he knows and loves, with a fan base who adore him. So for me, I hope we get it done.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope we do. But the one thing I was saying as well is if it isn't him, let's just hope there is a option B that they're already pursuing. So we're not, because we all know, I think we could say that the creativity is something we are lacking in that midfield. I think every single other part that is needed in midfield is covered by the four in Skip, Bentancur, Højbjerg and now Bissouma. I think the one thing that we're generally missing is that bit of quality, that bit of creativity. And if it isn't to be Eriksen, let's just hope there is someone lined up ready to go. And you were saying on the right side, it could be Rafinha. It could, with all the rumours we've had, or it could be someone else. Who knows? Would I like to see Eriksen? I've like I said, I've got over the forgive and forget, and I hope it's Tottenham, and I hope he doesn't arrive at Chelsea or something, because that will be horrible to see, and we'll just have to wait and see. But if it happens, it happens. If not, let's just hope we have a second option lined up, ready to go.
Do you believe that there's all these offers, according to Alice Trigodi, says Football London understands that Spurs were in contact with Eriksen's camp over a potential turn just a couple of weeks ago, but have not followed up since, with United, Everton, Newcastle, Leicester, West Ham, Brentford also making contact with the midfielder, as well as Ajax and one unnamed La Liga side. Who do you think that La Liga side could be? Barcelona, maybe, on a free?
If they're coming for a cash injection, it could be them.
Well, he's on a free. Maybe they don't need the cash injection to
for the salary. God knows how their books are, especially if Lewandowski and everyone else comes in. But did you say Newcastle?
Yeah, Newcastle, okay, apparently, so Leicester.
Newcastle are a threat regardless, not just for us, for any team, as soon as they come in for obvious reasons. La Liga, I don't know what the rights are or the rules there for, like, I don't know if they're like Italy with the heart device he has, if it's even allowed in Spain. But you'd think it would be a Spanish team. I would stick a neck out and say PSG.
PSG.
I would stick a leg out and say...
So they're not La Liga.
Oh, I did say the league. Sorry, I thought we said a European team. Okay,
no.
Okay, forget that. It is definitely not Paris Saint-Germain. So yeah, but if it's a La Liga team, obviously he can go there and play with his heart. So I would have to say, but well, you're going to think those two, aren't you? You're going to think Barca or Real.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens if he doesn't end up joining Tottenham, if he goes to these other sides. But I'm still confident that it makes the most sense for us, I think, for him to join us. I hope he realises that in terms of ambition. And I think money-wise, we can offer him a top wage. We can probably offer him a big increase from what he was on when he was at Tottenham previously.
Yep.
I understand he's on a free, but do I really see, with Man United having been burnt so many times with big wages and big money, like giving Alexis Sanchez 500 grand a week and stuff, do I really see them giving Eriksen 350 grand a week? I don't know if I really buy that. So I think if he's in the between 2 and 250 a week kind of ballpark, I think that's a transfer that can easily be in Tottenham's range for wages, because I think he comes in back to Tottenham as a player, obviously very highly appreciated, but because there's no transfer fee and we know his quality, I think that's a fair deal for him. And I don't see anyone offering him too much more than that. I
don't think he'll get more than that. In fact, I think we'll offer him less, but I think it'll be more. He'll be offered less, but more bonuses for appearances made and an assist and goals. I don't think it'll be that high, but we can pay that amount, can't we? We can see we can now afford to pay that amount. So it is an offer we could put towards him, but I think if it was me, I would have given him less, but laddered it with the bonuses.
According to Alistair Gold's article, it says Football London understands that Spurs managing director Fabio Paratici also attempted to sign Eriksen on a number of occasions when he was at Juventus, and has been in contact with the Danes camp since the end of the season about a return to North London this summer. However, the word coming out of Tottenham now seems to be playing down any potential comeback for the midfielder. So that's definitely interesting that Paratici is a big fan of him.
Yep.
But in terms of downplaying a return, I mean, clubs do that for all sorts of reasons. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's definitely not coming.
Exactly.
It just means either they want to keep it quiet, or he's not coming. But it couldn't just mean they want to keep it quiet for now.
It could be. I mean, I think it is as well. The way we're moving this summer after the announcement, we're expecting everything. Like Conte said, he wanted 6 players in before pre-season. And we're expecting these players in, and so we should be. It's what we've wanted for months and years, and it finally looks like it's happening. And maybe this is one that's just, like we said, hit a bit of red tape or has been kicked down the can a little bit because there's a target that we need and we can get in right now, as opposed to waiting for other people to get into him. And you've got to remember, with Eriksen, he's on a free, so you don't need to technically sign him by the end of the window.
Yeah.
You can sign him whenever you want. So with this deal, yes, if other teams are there, you want to try and get ahead of the queue, but there is no emergency to sign him. Yes, for the position, but I mean, time frame. It's not, this has to be wrapped up by September the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So
the only reason there's maybe a bit of a hurry up is because there's
other two. Exactly. So it could be that we've just said, listen, it could, and I'm just picking 2 names that we've been linked with now, let's put 3, Richarlison, Bastoni and Rafinha. Ones that we've heard regularly that there's heavy links with. Maybe these deals need to be wrapped up quicker, and there's a bigger priority to get these deals over the line before we go and advance with Eriksen. So we'll have to wait and see.
All right, a couple of super chats before we go into the next topic about Eriksen. This one from the Lions, Sam. Eriksen down tools to get out of a contract with us. At the end, it all got a bit poisonous, if memory is right. Is this just being forgotten? I don't think that's an accurate representation of what happened at the end of his contract. I think obviously we'd reached a point in his Spurs career. He didn't want to sign a new contract. He wanted to leave. We tried to find him somewhere to go, but I think teams wanted him because we were demanding like 50 million. So I think teams were just like, all right, we'll just wait a year and get him on a free. But he really did, I think because we were demanding too much money, he wanted us to kind of lower our demands. We ended up getting 20 million from him in January. But I don't think it turned poisonous. It did turn a bit with the fans because they believed he wasn't putting his all in near the end. But I think there's a reason he wanted to leave, because he wanted a new project and a new start, and he'd lost a bit of motivation at that time to carry on with Tottenham because of the direction we were going in.
Yep.
After after we lost the Champions League final, things kind of all fell apart. We know what happened. It wasn't just him. So I don't think it was all down to him as to why the relationship broke down potentially at that time. And I think he comes back to Tottenham. We're in a different place now. We're on the upward trajectory. We're back in the Champions League. We're going in the right direction. We have a world-class manager doing really well at the moment. So I don't know. I think we're in a different place now to when he left.
So I'll put my hands up. When before the year to 18 months before Eriksen departed, I was so frustrated, disappointed, hurt, let down, all the other words you want to use, because to me the way he just disappeared off. I started calling him Where's Wally, because he just went missing in big games. You couldn't find him. And he has so much talent and so much to give. And we all know Eriksen on his day is unplayable. He causes havoc. And I was bitterly disappointed. I don't know if people remember as well. There was a picture that got leaked before the Champions League final that showed he'd packed up everything in his house, ready to go to wherever pastures new, because Real Madrid were hot on the trail for him. And then obviously that fell through. So he looked like a bit of a fall. And then from then I was just like, just get him out. Just get him out the club. I loved him. He was one of my favourite players just for the way he plays football. But I was hugely disappointed with him, and had been ever since he left. And then obviously he came back to Brentford, and he showed that he still got it. He's shown that his appetite and everything was there. And yes, a lot of it was the direction of the club and the lack of investment and the lack of... But I can understand why he wanted to leave. His contract was running down, and that's what players do now. If they feel that they can get a better contract or they want a new challenge, it's what they do now. It's modern day football. So I couldn't fault him for that part. We got him out the door. We got good money for him for the end of his contract. And I really, really, really was adamant that I don't want him back. Adamant. And then obviously once we signed Basuma, I became, okay, now we need him for the creativity. So if he comes, he comes. I would like him to sign because of what he offers. But like I said, most importantly, if it's not him, the most important thing is we have a plan B, because we definitely need a creative spark in that midfield, and we go from there. But yeah, I was definitely one of them that was not happy with him when he left and how he left.
Fair enough. And Nikolai Moella says, Eriksen just played a double pivot with Højbjerg for Denmark, and I disagree with the notion that he was the only one downing tools. I think at the time, it was very early on in the Mourinho days, kind of, or at the end of the Poch days as well. Look, Eriksen was definitely not the only one who wasn't playing well at the time, that's for sure. Especially, you could argue, wasn't given their all or felt like they were maxed out, all these kind of whatever you want to say. He definitely wasn't the only one, that's 100% sure. So I definitely agree with that, but because he was one who clearly who made it public that he wanted to leave, obviously he gets a lot of the blame, a lot of the vilification. And in terms of him playing a double pivot for Denmark, I do think it's a role he can play, especially if you play him next to, say, a Basuma, who does a lot of the dirty work and he'll like cover every blade of grass. But as much as I think he can do that role, I don't think he could do that role, say, like in a big game where you need to do a lot of running and you need a lot of defensive solidity. I wouldn't want to rely on him in those kind of games, but definitely I think he can do that role.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add to that, when it comes to the downing tools, and I'll mainly talk about obviously the end of Poch. We know there was a few people in there. Eric Dyer was meant to be one of them, and a host of others. But I think the reason Eriksen took a lot of it was because obviously we knew how important Christian Eriksen was. We knew what a game changer he could be. We know he could change the game in a blink of an eye, where the other people like Eric Dyer wasn't as held as high within the Spurs fans as an Eriksen. But there was definitely more than most, and obviously the drop in his game from the lack of creativity, the lack of goals, the corners hitting the first man, the free kicks hitting the wall, where when we signed him, this was his number one. His conversion rate and corner kick success rate was huge. To just drop off, like literally off a cliff, that's what I think it was the most obvious one that had dropped off, didn't it? In form and what he could do in a game. So I think that's why Eriksen got it a lot. But yeah, he definitely wasn't the only one.
Yeah, definitely. But look, let's see how this story progresses. At the moment, there's not much. Well, we're hearing that has a verbal agreement with Spurs. Other reliable journalists, Ali Gold and Romano, and the Evening Standard are saying that Spurs are distancing themselves at the moment from Eriksen. We'll see how this one progresses over the next week or so. He's obviously going to have to make a decision sooner rather than later on his, or maybe he's taking his time, but he's going to have to publicly make it clear where he's going, and we'll find out. And let's hope that he does choose Spurs and we do get him over the line. I think him on a free transfer, not many better players we're going to get, but we'll have to wait and see.